Stonehenge's excellent security. So it's 1905. 3 councillors we are quorate. But due to the pass. Oh, sorry, it's your phone. Are you videoing, taping?
Videoing.
Right, it would have been good if you'd asked permission. I won't say no, but it's nice for people to know that you'll be videoing and taping. Because there might be people here who don't want to be videoed or taped.
I'm not videoing the public. I have a copy of the Open and Accountable Local Government, which says we can film without permission. It says it's nice to, but you can without permission record.
First of all, I would ask if we got a volunteer for the chairman, please. We don't have a chairman at the moment. So, the 3 of you.
Could I propose Tony?
Tony, are you happy to be chairman?
Yes, okay.
You'd like to volunteer for the vice chairman? For the 2 of you. You've got a volunteer for the vice chairman.
I'll reluctantly.
No people have been As the new chairman, do you have anything to say?
No, this is great to see so many parishioners here. It's the first time.
Could you speak up, please?
Sorry, Ian. I said it's great to see so many parishioners here. I think in the time that I've been in the village and attended various council meetings, it's the first time I've seen quite so many people taking an active interest. So, thanks.
Thank you.
The next thing, we adjourn for residents' questions. Noting it's questions, not discussion. We cannot necessarily answer and deal with the question as asked. If we can deal with it in the meeting, we will do. If not, it will be taken away and will be addressed in the next meeting.
I've got a question. My name's
It's
Jessica.
actually useful if you have the question written down.
I've got
a hard copy, it makes life so much easier.
We've got a hard copy here. I'm Jessica Pratt, 2 Church Street. Mr. Chairman, my question relates to the meeting on the 25th of November. I would like to know if the Parish Council will be issuing an apology to the parishioners for its conduct at the meeting on the 25th of November. More specifically, the reading from the Councillor's Guide to Handling Intimidation and the premature closure. All parishioners perceive this as you are implying that there was a person or persons present that you, without justification, deemed a threat to safety. This is unacceptable behaviour, and in your code of conduct it states that you are accountable for your decisions to the public. So I'm asking if you'll be showing some accountability and integrity by offering an apology.
Yeah, perhaps if I could set the scene slightly about the last meeting. When we arrived, 3 of the 4 councillors, councillors who attended the meeting were aware that an allegation had been made of an assault, both verbal and non-verbal, physical assault. And the 4th council member was unaware that that had happened. Things were happening very, very quickly, and we had been advised, having sought advice from both the Wiltshire area of local councils and the local government association about how to proceed. The first thing we were told is that under no circumstances, given a physical assault had been alleged, regardless of who the assault was alleged to have been committed by, on whom, regardless of that, we were advised that we should be very, very careful about the meeting. We should, in the first instance, request police to attend.
Yes.
We were requested to attend that meeting because we did not know the circumstances. We had only heard an allegation. Having heard that allegation and being advised to consider very carefully whether we held the meeting in the absence of the police, not knowing the full circumstances, the advice we had been given prior to the meeting was that if certain individuals attended, i.e. those possibly involved, we should cancel the meeting. We did not know until we arrived at the meeting who would attend, so we couldn't call the meeting off in advance of that. And as we said at the meeting, we owe a duty of care not only to parish councillors, but also to the parishioners. I made that very clear at the meeting when we cancelled it. Because literally, as I walked through the door, I was told that the allegation that's been made, a counter-allegation had also been made. But the position at the moment is, we have agreed that we will start another meeting. We have not yet heard from the investigating officer what has happened. But I think we would all unreservedly apologise to anyone who is shown to be innocent down the road. At the moment, we are still in the dark. We have to deliberately step back from it to allow the authorities to do their job. It's not for us, as a parish council, to investigate an allegation of assault. That would be foolish. We can't do that. So, the position as of November, well, as it is today, to be honest, is we have still not heard officially what's the allegation. So, we've heard an allegation. We do not know the truth of that allegation. We do not know the truth of the counter-allegation. And until that happens, we cannot formally apologise. We'd like to do so, and as soon as we have the information that allows us to do that, I'm sure, as a parish council, we would like to do that, because allegation or counter-allegation, whichever is correct, should not have happened. Should not have happened, and must not happen again in the future. The reason that the harassment information was put out was to also advise parishioners that there is a harassment procedure, or there should be a harassment procedure. It wasn't meant to intimidate, but the accusations we'd had were that councillors were being intimidated. So you see, it's a fairly complex situation. We want to apologise, and the second we can apologise, we will do so, unreservedly.
So just secondly, a supplementary question to that, again referring to this incident, the code of conduct, you state that objectivity is a principle that the council adheres to. Keeping that in mind, what fair and impartial investigation had been undertaken by the parish council with regards to the alleged incidents, thus assuming that the parishioners present were a threat to safety, and I'm sure none of the other parishioners who were present were a threat to, felt that the parishioners that were being intimidated at that meeting were a threat to safety. Bearing in mind that the meeting proceeded for the first three agenda items, mentioning a fourth being brought forward.
Sorry, can we go back and unwind that slide? Parishioners being intimidated at the meeting. I'm sorry.
So when the statement from the guide for, what was it called? Sorry, Councillor's Guide to Handling it was read out, it was directly appointed at Simon. He was directly looked at.
No, I was facing.
No.
I was facing.
Sorry, yeah.
It was.
So we'd just like to also say that if there was a threat to safety, that the meeting proceeded for 3 agenda items, and then fourth being brought forward, and then it was cancelled. So I think we'll leave it there. I think we've got our point across. Thank you.
I think you've made the point. I think you're incorrect. Many of the points you raised. And as we said, we are very unhappy with the situation. I walked in through that door on November 25th. I had one understanding of the story in my mind. That's all I've been told. As I walked in the door, I was told the second version.
And if I can just butt in there, as now the chair apparently and the parish councillor, I still only know about the incident, what was in the resignation email. That's how little it has been discussed amongst the parish council.
Can you please speak up?
Can you move forward?
No, I'm not deaf. Could you speak up, please? This is a public meeting.
Yes, of course.
They are speaking up here. If you can't hear, please come forward.
Yes, so, Mr. West, I was just clarifying that as of today, the only information I know about the alleged incident was the allegations as brief as they were made in the resignation email from the ex-councillor. That's it. So to walk in here on the 25th, I had a bit of a back brief on the catchy for the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, which I still not be able to get across down Church Street. Was fairly frustrating for this side of the room as well. But I think we stand by the fact that we only know what we've known, With regards to the objectivity and impartiality, we've done what we should, and in accordance with Local Authority guidelines, which is referred to the police. It's not for a civil body such as us to be investigating allegations within the parish. A, none of us have got the time, and B, it's not within our scope or indeed within our remit.
They requested a list of expenditure of £100.
Are we moving on?
Sorry, I'm struggling to hear anything here. Go on.
Yeah. So, yeah, are we finished with?
Oh, sorry, are we-
Sorry.
No, there's a question.
Sorry if you haven't finished.
I think it's about overlap there.
I don't want to sort of jump. I mean, top
No.
topics.
Let me know when you're ready, because I can't hear a bloody thing over there.
All right. But that said, this shouldn't be entered into a discussion. So unless you have another question, unrelated, we move on to Mr. Batchelor's question.
Happy? I think we're done for now.
For its worth, on this incident, if I make just an addendum, and that is, I kind of want to move on. There's lots more in this parish that needs to be done, especially with stuff that's coming up in the next few years. None of us here know what happened or didn't happen, which is why the police are dealing, and maybe not dealing. I don't literally don't know. There's nothing back to them. But I, for what it's worth, stand by the decision to call stumps at the last meeting, adjourn until we know more, or not.
Sorry, should it not have been done immediately, rather than get the money for the party or reading the eulogy? Should it not? But if the threat was deemed that significant, should it not have been done immediately? Because then surely, if it was that, you're putting people in danger.
Right.
If the situation
You
was
may
that.
have noticed when I arrived, I came in with 2 people from English Heritage.
The operations manager you contacted, yes.
Yeah,
We heard you, overheard you speaking
right.
about us.
Because we have been told, and we asked him to stand by in case there was an issue. So that's the best we could do. We've been advised we should try and get the police to attend.
But they didn't leave their seats or say a word, so they weren't threatening in any way.
We didn't know that. We didn't know who was turning.
Well, then you should have shut the meeting down immediately, in my opinion. It should have been shut down immediately.
Thank you for your opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, can we just minute that there's satisfaction with the 25th? And the way it was handled.
Have we nominated a new chairman? Because that was the first item on the list.
Yes, sorry.
I missed that. You're not new, really. They
Go,
requested all expenditure over £100. But
Excuse me, what does the clerk say then?
I said move closer.
Can I just...
And there's a couple of items on there.
All this we need
Two
is
seconds, can we
speak
just...
up.
Right, Mr West, I'm speaking loudly so we can all hear it here. Can we draw stumps over any antagonism? I don't understand where this antagonism between the 4 people sat in front of you now and you guys are right now. I don't understand. So if we've just come here to shout random things from around the room, can I just suggest we get it all out of the way in the next couple of minutes, then we can move on with the business of parishioners' questions and the agenda. Otherwise we're wasting everyone's time. And I, for one, as with everyone else here, give up time voluntarily, as you well know, and would rather, in fairness, not be voted as chairman and spend time with my family, because that's what we all want to do. But we do it, and we come here, and so if we want to start shouting stuff at the back of the room for the sake of it, then please, let's get it done now. Right, can we have the question and we'll move on?
And there was a couple of items on there I want clarification on.
Please.
Under each of the clerk's pay is the PAYE.
Yes.
Now, whether that's to make the clerk's pay look less than what it actually is, so it doesn't antagonise people, I'm not sure.
No, it's a legal requirement. The fact is, I pay.
But on the 14th of December,
Yes.
the PAYE is £1,122. Now, what is that?
That's it. That's a typo, I suspect.
Let's have a look. What do you think what is going on?
Oh, it's a typo.
Wow.
I recall. Yeah.
Wow.
No, hang on. Oh yeah. Sorry, that should be £122. That should be £122. Yeah.
Mr. Clerk, don't you check your work?
I do, thank you very much. Comment noted.
And the website maintenance, £300, what do we get for £300 website maintenance and?
Well, the website has to be hosted. The website is hosted by a third
It
party.
seems a lot, it's almost as if the parish council are throwing money around like confetti without really any regards to, you know, because all they got to do is up the preset next time, and there'll be a load more coming in, and we can throw it around again.
£300, if I may speak.
Yes,
£300 is very, very reasonable. If anyone else is involved with websites, £300 per year, simply to maintain a website and to make sure the software is updated, the security is updated, is trivial.
That runs our emails.
And what about the audit of the events committee accounts? That seems a lot of money to
That will be
audit
coming-
£2,000.
That will be coming back. The events committee, once it gets up and running again, will repay that.
And is VAT claimed back on all these expenditures?
The VAT will be claimed back with all these expenditures.
You know, in the year there's no mention of VAT coming back.
Doesn't have to be, that wasn't the question asked.
You asked for expenditure.
And you know, the clerk's pay was doubled, not too long ago. Is this the double pay, or is this still the original, and it's doubled from that after this?
That's the original pay.
So really, you're getting twice as much as this now.
I'm getting twice of nothing, yes. Twice zeros and not of money. If you wish to come and do this job for the pittance I am paid, please volunteer to do so.
But I always like to see VFM applying for money.
I'm paid 5 hours a week at national minimum wage.
In one of the minutes, it said 6 hours a week.
6 hours a week, sorry, correction. 6 hours a week.
Numbers are a
That
problem.
was another £8 I forgot.
And do you spend 6 hours on it or not?
I have spent considerably more than
And
6 hours a week.
when we upped the wage, because last year, it was because the then council, all of us sat here, were of the belief that we were getting, or we were shortchanging the clerk for the amount of hours we expect and request of him, the pay that he was on, we were shortchanging him. So it was put to vote, and the parish council agreed, voted to up it.
Right, I think that clears it up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations, Councillor Hoyle, for becoming chairman. I wish you all the very best of luck. I'd also like to congratulate the parish council for the seating arrangement this evening. Far better than the 25th. Horrendous. Mr. Chairman, if I could, I'd like to take this opportunity to make 2 brief statements. Firstly, in reference to the parish council meeting held on the Monday the 25th of November 2019, in particular the funding of the parish children's Christmas party. Therefore, I'd like to quote the following from part 3, in particular, of the Good Counsellor's Guide, section 9, being prepared. And I quote, "It is actually unlawful to make a decision, especially a decision to spend money, without sufficient 3 clear days warning. Vague agenda items that don't specify exact business, such as matters arising, correspondence, and any other business, are dangerous and should be avoided, because councillors cannot make unexpected decisions." Also, may I quote from the Essential Clerk, from the website of the Society of Local Council Clerks, section 5, finance, financial procedures. And I quote, "Remember, the council must not agree to spend money on the spur of the moment. They need 3 days clear notice. And individual councillors must never commit the council to spending money on the council's behalf. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, I believe that the parish council may have actually acted unlawfully or improperly in making this decision. Secondly, Mr. Chairman, in reference to the draft minutes published for the meeting of the 25th of November 2019, I would like to raise a point to the accuracy of the minutes that the parish council have duly proposed. I totally agree that the clerk suggested an amount of £400, to which all present councillors agreed. However, neither I or the other 5 parishioners in attendance that evening can recall the clerk stating that the money was available and such spending was within the powers of the parish council. And furthermore, I or any of the other parishioners present cannot recall Councillor Pye will suggest that instead of a grant, that the organisers should be granted £400 on which they could draw down expenditure, of which apparently was unanimously agreed. To conclude, I believe that the proposed draft minutes stated for that meeting, held on the 25th of November, was an outright fabrication.
For what it's worth, Ms. Elliott, I was going to make a point of clarification on that, but I think the minutes needed.
And for the record, Councillor Pye,
because
I hand you
make that suggestion, that was
what I've just read.
made that suggestion of the drawdown, because I was very keen to stay clear of the discussion, which is why I declined to comment on that particular item, because it was my wife who was running the financial party. So my point was going to be that that the minutes were wrong.
Thank you.
But only in as much as it was Andy that suggested the drawdown, because I remember that happening.
He did.
But it wasn't me that said it.
I quoted that from the minutes.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm agreeing with you, because the minutes are wrong, hence why they're drafted and they're agreed at this meeting. But that was discussed, and the drawdown rather than the grant was discussed, but it was Andy that made that suggestion, not myself. So that's where the minutes are wrong. Content.
The minutes are wrong, definitely wrong.
Second?
The minutes are definitely wrong, John.
As I've just said,
Yeah.
in that it says that I made a suggestion, when in fact it was Andy that made the suggestion.
Yes, it was. I quoted that from the minutes that were
Which
published.
is why the minutes
Yeah.
is drafted until the meeting.
Yeah.
And it's at this point of the meeting that the chairman, when we go through the minutes in due course, will point out the error and it will be corrected.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask the clerk a question? In response to Mr. Hillier's first point about expenditure,
Yeah.
my understanding was that we were asked for a grant,
Yes.
which isn't expenditure. Is it?
Grant is not expenditure, no.
So, okay, I just want to clarify. A grant is something very, very different to going out and buying a sack of coal from a coal merchant.
So did you have a contingency for this expenditure in your
We
budget?
had an agenda item, the standing agenda item for the events committee. This was an item that was brought forward.
Sorry, you didn't answer my question.
Sorry, what was your question?
Did you have a contingency plan to spend that kind of money in your budget?
You don't budget for things like
You
that.
don't, budgets are budgets.
So where
of
did
your
you just
planned
raise-
expenditure?
Did you not hear my
I'm sorry,
point?
can we go backstage? Can I talk about
Yeah,
budget?
yeah, explain budget.
A budget is simply a plan. It's your planned expenditure against your planned income.
Why was it
No,
advertised
Mr.
3
Can
days?
I finish, please? It's your planned expenditure against your planned income. You can, if you wish, build in a contingency.
You can indeed.
You don't have to build a contingency, and no one in their right mind would expect a budget to be adhered to as the year develops. The best plan never survives first contact with the enemy. It doesn't happen. Budgets evolve. So you go into the year, as we have done under the chairmanship of Mr. West in years past, looking at the income we were going to get, and looking at the planned expenditure, and that has been done every year since.
Sorry, what was that quote you quoted me there?
I quoted you, Mr. West, yes. When you were chairman of the parish council,
Yeah.
you conducted the budget in exactly the same way that the budget's now conducted. You looked at your planned income, you looked at your planned expenditure, you occasionally built new things into it for the future, and that was your budget. But in year things will happen, fences will fall down, insurances will have to be paid, but were totally unplanned. You don't not plan them because they weren't, sorry, you don't not pay for them
Okay.
because they weren't in the budget.
In a nutshell then, can you confirm to me that the grant of £400 for the children's party was lawful? That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Because what I'm quoting from, the good councillor's guide, the essential part says it's undateably not. Because you didn't give 3 clear days notice and it wasn't specifically itemised on the agenda. You're telling me it was still legitimate.
I can't tell you that it was still legitimate.
Well, I'm asking,
If you
it's a
said
very
it wasn't,
simple,
if you
you're
think it
against it.
wasn't, then by all means take it further.
Well, I may want to, but I'm asking you as a councillor, you should be able to tell me.
I believe it's entirely lawful because it was.
You think it was entirely lawful?
I believe.
I can quote you on that.
I believe.
You believe?
I believe it wasn't expenditure, it was a grant. The clerk, who is the
The obvious
council
thing,
officer,
look,
is the one you should be asking for the advice I've received.
we're all villagers here. The thing is,
Yes, we are.
I'm not against the Christmas party. If it would have been put forward a month earlier and put on the agenda
In fairness, the people,
as an
and
itemised,
I can speak with some authority on this one, the people who end up running the Christmas party were used to it running when they first moved to the village. The events committee somehow over the past few years has gone completely down the sway.
sadly, yes.
And they're trying to reinvigorate that. There was some hope that the events committee were going to be able to do something under their guise for the children this Christmas gone. It got to the point where actually, well, my wife said that unless they start committing to get people in, Roxy parties from Shrewsbury to come and do it, they're all going to be booked up. So we need to 2 parishioners took it upon themselves to try and organise something for the good benefit, open to all children. I believe, unless it all got screwed up, every child got a personalised invite to it as well. And so they took it upon themselves because the events committee weren't doing it. So that will be why that they didn't do it, plan it a month in advance. There was hope that the events committee were
I
going
respect
to
that,
run
Mr.
that.
Chairman. My very last question. You know, we were all here present. It was unanimously voted and agreed for £400, which in fact agreed a 100% turnout for the 23 children, I believe. I would just like to ask, and I've got no idea, how many children actually attended the Christmas party?
Firstly, that's why the drawdown rather than the full grant was agreed, because there was no guarantee.
But I didn't hear that
23.
mentioned.
No, but that's what was minuted, albeit attributed to me where it should have been Andy, but that's what the drawdown was. I know they kept the receipts and I know they kept, I think they budgeted X amount for the present. So actually, the loss of 5 to 10 kids, or whatever it was, that didn't come, would only have amounted to between £5 and £10 per head. Because there was
So how many actually attended the party?
I don't know, I would have to check that.
You've got no idea, you'd have to check. Okay.
Okay, look at the bills.
In fact, presidents, you can work out from presidents. I was thinking 16. It was quite
16, 17.
16 and 17.
Not far for Christmas, I don't know how many presents we came out.
16, 17.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You obviously didn't attend, Mr. Clark.
Sorry?
You obviously didn't attend.
I did attend, but I wasn't going to be head counting.
So did I didn't count.
You didn't attend either.
No, attended, didn't count the number of.
You didn't attend the numbers, right?
While the clerk's adding up, we are looking for volunteers to the parish council, and clearly, Dave, you'd be the person who would be.
Sorry,
We are looking for volunteers for the parish council.
All right, good luck.
And one of the ways of ensuring things are done the way you would like them is to come and sit on the parish council. It's the same thing.
we'll probably wait till the next election, actually.
The invite is there. Love.
Sorry, I have one more question. We've been doing some reading, but I'm not quite sure on the legality of it. I don't know. But can a co-opted member become chairman of a parish council?
Yes.
They can.
But they can't claim expenses, which is why I don't.
Okay.
None of the councillors claim expenses.
Exactly.
Right. It was just a grey area, and we were unsure.
But we are looking for 2 parish councillors. When's the advert coming out? Must be imminent.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Looking for 2 parish councillors. We would like, it would be nice to have some younger blood on the parish council. It would be nice to have just, anyone on the parish council prepared to join in and help the village, which is why, as has been said earlier, we come along. We don't come here to be shouted at or to be awkward in any way, or for any reasons of self-aggrandisement.
14.
It was 14.
14, I remember.
I can quote you on 14. So as a drawdown of expenditure, Mr. Clark, there will be money being put back into your account.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Not being taken out.
It's not taken out.
Not taken out.
Okay, Ms Hillier, was that your last question? Sorry, Ms Hillier, was that the last question?
I've finished, I've passed what I've said,
Yeah.
have you got that? Thank you.
The floor? Okay. Oh, some minutes too soon. Okay, so item 3, to receive, consider and accept apologies for absence. We are. Item 4, confirm the minutes from the council meeting held both on the 16th September and those from the 25th of November.
Catch up a second.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, that's interesting. Take that. Agenda. Oh,
Was there any agendas under those?
No.
No.
Try to one.
All right, no problem.
Try to reduce the amount of paper we're using for some things.
Clerk's just,
Oh, thank you, yes, cheers.
Clerk's just pointed out to me that now we've moved on from the agenda for business questions, we will be sticking to the agenda here. So it's until a suitable time, just the parish council to the question business now. So item 4 is confirming
Minutes.
minutes.
Right, are you happy with the minutes from the 16th of September?
And the 16th of August.
Yes. Right, from the 25th of November.
The 25th, as we just discussed.
So it is Andy raised.
The drawdown.
Yeah, the drawdown.
It's
Drawdown.
attributed to me in the minutes. It's,
Not. Right. Let's try and get through the minutes. I have got copies of the September minutes. Just wish through the actions. Action 1, emergency plan. On myself. I'm waiting for Warwick to come back to me. They've had a few people raise this about emergency plans. I think it's probably because of the flooding thing. I think it's something that Renata has raised from Salisbury City Council.
Yeah.
So WALC are looking into whether they could actually get somebody in on contract to do emergency plans for WALC as opposed to them recommending someone for us to go to. So WALC would actually be able to provide a plan.
So we might finally be able to get a plan
Yes.
written
Yes.
and approved.
Although I suspect it will probably more than likely be a template, but a good template. How's the dog poo going, Andy?
It's a nightmare. The meadow is still absolutely full of stuff.
It's usually been flooded, you don't really wash it.
I know, and I think several people here know some of the main culprits, but catching them with their dogs in action is pretty difficult. We've all tried, we've just not managed it yet. Unfortunately, until we can get some hard evidence, the dog wardens simply do not want to know. So if we can get photographs of the individual and his dogs, or the individuals and their dogs in action, then we can do something. But we know it's happening at both ends of the village. We know we've had reports, I think, outside the Hilliers, where dogs are messing. Someone from that end of the village, I assume, but we've also got a big problem down the southern end. So it continues.
Obviously, this is the now. Street signs. We need to ascertain what the street signs we want because we've lost the list. And of course, this idea of course could be done in November because now it's slipped another month or so. That's a bit of a gap. So, what new street signs do we need?
So Wiltshire Council have lost the list.
Yes. And I can't find the list that's given to them.
I think we might be able to recreate that.
Yeah. Any chance of a quick?
Mr. Chairman, can I set the scene? So this is, we were asked some time ago about new such street signs for the village, so we're coming into the village, Brook Close, so on and so forth. All the old worn signs down at St Peter's Close, up on the walls, up on the side of the road. All that list was given to Wiltshire Council some 6 months ago. More than 6 months.
More than 6 months ago, it's about probably a year ago.
So they are moving very, very slowly to do something.
Is there a cost involved?
Sorry?
Is there a cost?
No, they have a budget. So whilst they weren't charging us to do it, it seemed an opportune time to get some of the faded signs replaced, or the broken signs replaced.
Dan, probably actually, can I ask Tony, Andy to come up because you see the signs. If you just drop me a quick note and I'll bounce it through.
I'll try and find the old one.
Yeah.
Can I ask one, actually, Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question of the parishioners? Brook Close, is it Brook with an E or Brook without?
Without an E.
Without an E?
Mhm.
Right.
It's spelled with both ways in different signs.
Yeah, and that's what we want to try. I want to be absolutely sure.
It's without an E.
Without an E.
Right, website.
Did
Did you speak to somebody?
Yeah, I spoke to Adam.
Yeah.
And he is looking at whether we can put capture codes on. It isn't straightforward because it has to interact with everything else that we've got on.
Oh, right.
But he's still looking at that.
Website.
Yeah, one other thing on the website, I didn't realise until Dave brought it up, my email wasn't on there, but now I've fixed.
Thanks.
Yeah, so my email
Yes,
is
so
on.
thank you for that, Dave.
It was only 18 months late.
In fact, it actually was on the website, but not where you would necessarily expect. In the
Really?
in the IT policy, it says that all parish
I
councils.
wouldn't have thought of looking there, councillors.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway, it's their name and I
All
don't-
parish councils have an email that begins first name dot second name dot winterbournestokepc.org.uk.
The fact that yours and Councillor Pinewell's was next to your profile,
That's my fault.
and
I'll put my hands up for
Councillor
that.
Dangerous wasn't, I raised it on.
Publications, that, we're talking about, well,
Yeah.
thought publications, well, yeah.
Right.
We'll do that, we'll move on, and then
Still getting actions.
Actually, that was actually,
Yeah.
I can't believe we're in 4 open actions now. Anyway, something wrong there, let's sort that out. No actions from the meeting on the 25th. That's 6, administration, 6 publications.
So this is where we're looking at the staggered review of all the policies.
Yeah.
And if you want to, as you've described it,
Right.
talk us through it.
We've got a number of policies that we are meant to adhere to, most of which were introduced last year because there was a massive gap. We had no policies, written policies whatsoever up until last year. We've got a regular series of review. We've got effectively 4 coming up for review. The first one is the email and website policy. I'm proposing readoption with no change. The financial regulations were due for review in last September, but they're likely to require upgrading in April following a NALC review. And I'm proposing that we should defer reviewing that until April, till the new financial year. The harassment policy, which is there in draft, is not yet adopted. It clearly needs more work, and I propose deferring that until the next meeting. And standing orders, I'm proposing readoption with no change. So effectively 2 of them, no change, 1 of them deferred until April, and 1 worked on further. I'm also proposing that we upgrade the publication scheme. It wasn't due for consideration until 2021, but I'd like to propose an amendment in there to make clear how parishioners' questions raised at parish council meetings or outside of parish council meetings will normally be handled. Essentially, it's saying that we will respond within a defined period of time to a written question.
Really?
Yes.
Does that apply to the clerk as well?
That will apply to.
It's not discussion,
Yeah.
not discussion.
Yeah, we will respond within 15 working days of the date of the meeting if it's raised in the meeting, or within 15 days, working days of receipt of a letter or an email. Working days to refer to the days when the parish clerk would normally be available to undertake work on behalf of the parish council.
All right.
Consequently, days when the clerk is on holiday, travelling, or working away from his or her residence, or not normally days when he would be working, would not be counted in that total. It would be unreasonable to expect that. There may be other changes that people want to put in there.
Again, but I bounced back when I first saw this. You point about the the working days himself. It made noting that the clerk is employed part-time, and that may affect the 15-day period. In fact, as has been rightly pointed out by a parishioner, I work 6 hours a week.
Okay, so if I build that in, I'll circulate it round with that provision.
And the other one, I do believe that, except under exceptional circumstances, persons asking questions, parishioners should not expect answers direct from a councillor. And everything should come from the clerk.
Well, I didn't quite.
What are you talking about?
Councillor,
Can you,
But it's what I'm cautioning councillors to be very careful in answering questions direct from a parishioner without having consulted other councillors and the clerk. What we don't want is a knee-jerk reaction from a councillor.
In fact, I think if,
I wonder whether it's rephrased, so the parishioners, in it, parishioners should expect that the council will, the parishioners should expect that that is necessarily a one-on-one dialogue between the two, and that question raised in email or by letter will be discussed amongst the council before an answer is given.
Yes.
But at least then to go and hand up front, rather than, because it will invariably be one of the people sat here that responds.
Mr. Chairman, I believe in one of the councillors, it may even be the Good Councillors Guide that was being quoted earlier, there was a comment that in fact the primary point of contact with the parish council should be the parish clerk, and in extremis the chairman of the parish council, for this type of formal question. We're not saying you can't go and ask.
But surely that's nonsense.
I think we'll find the form of words. There is.
We can ask a question to any parish
Yes, you can.
council at any time we wish.
Yes, you can.
Well, what?
But this is not a discussion.
I think the wording needs to be there.
You're really making this up as you're going along.
For the transparency, is that
Surely not.
parishioners should
Please.
Well,
You know,
Parishioners
sorry.
should expect.
the parishioners' questions are finished.
Parishioners should expect that any questions raised will be discussed amongst the council before an answer is given.
If it's a formal, I think there are two things which are being conflated here.
Yeah.
If a formal question is raised, i.e. a question about finances or
Information,
then that is a formal question being addressed to the parish council and should go to the clerk or the chairman. And that is definitely written as the in the formal words of the source of information. If it's someone asking, as frequently happens, a random question which isn't a formal question, then of course it can go to the parish councillor.
I think you're making a rule that no other parish council in the land is applying. I'm sorry.
I'm not making a rule.
I'm not making a rule.
Well, you're proposing something. Absolutely.
If you don't like it, I suggest you come and join the 5 councillors and council. We have the 2 councillors.
I think if we
Two.
look at the wording of it and make it clear that it is for formal question responses such as FOI requests, etc., and also if there's an informal question, there's no expectation that the council won't have discussed it amongst themselves before an agreed answer is given. It's transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why.
What I've absolutely has happened. Councillors have in the past been asked a question and they have given an answer immediately, which is actually then caused us problems later on because they weren't fully aware of the complete story.
Which is frequently the case.
Yeah.
So then on the, let's go back to your propositions then, the email and website policy, your proposed readoption.
Yeah, proposing to adopt the email website policy.
Seconded. Seconded. Votes. Anyone else on that one? So, re-adopt email and website policy. Financial regulations, the proposal to defer until the start of the new financial year. Proposed, I'm happy to say it's, and the votes on it. Tony, you consent?
Yep.
Harassment policy, yeah, defer to next meeting, doesn't need a vote on, and standing orders, dated September 2018, proposal of re-adoption, change date to January 2019. Those.
Good point actually, about the, do we want to review them annually, or biannually, or every 3 years? Standing orders tend not to change, whereas financial regulations do change very almost annually.
I'd suggest 3 yearly by exception. We know of
Yeah,
something.
so it doesn't-
Yeah.
Opposed? Seconded? And 3 votes. And I think we'll hang fire on the publication scheme one just until we've agreed the set of the wordage
where's the review period written in? Is it actually on each document?
Each document, at the bottom of each document, has a review date. Some have been updated in year because things have changed in year, but the formal review date is given at the bottom.
So we go for 3 yearly by exception.
Yeah.
Right, so that was publications. Yeah, nothing. Anything on training? I have nothing on training at the moment. The chairman, this is obviously something with the chairman thing, isn't it? The chairman's training is full in the second. But there are now the I mentioned at the last meeting, finance, right, the precept. Do you want to do that now, or should we take that to the end? The precept. We need to come to a decision on it.
Intend to run it? Run with it? Sure.
Yeah, do it now?
Yeah.
You've sort of seen the piece of paper, haven't you, with the budget stuff. Put it here. This is all one. I said this 8 months ago, didn't I? Trouble. Have you got the document, Andy?
No, I'm afraid I don't.
Yes.
You got it?
I've got your financial and operational risk assessment 2021.
That's. That's it. Is that the one? That and what's the balance?
The email was the 14th of November. Titles, precepts. It's just got that and the risk, financial risk statement. Attachments.
Yeah. So I've got the 7 emails, 14th of November.
I suggest you read out the
Can do,
predicted
yeah.
routine expenditure for next year.
Yeah. The 2021 predicted routine expenditure, lark subscription of £90, NetWise Training Limited 300, Community First Insurance 560, Community First Membership 40, HMRC Pay AYE 4 lots of 260, so amounting to 1,040. Clerk's Pay 4 lots of 400, so 1,600. Payroll Services 60. Play Safety, the Play Park Inspection of 80. Play Park Maintenance 1,400. ICO 35.
That's the Information Commissioner's Office.
Giving a predicted total of 5,205, and an addendum of known incoming extraordinary expenditure. The yellow lines for Church Street is 500, and the 20 mile an hour speed limit on Church Street 1250.
Yeah, that was, yeah, that's the 500, I suspect that won't happen. The yellow lines. Ah, brilliant.
So then the known and
So that makes it,
likelies.
so the known predicted routine expenditures, £5,205, and the exceptional £1,750. I've got the form here, if you want to see the rest of the, form. Jamie. Yeah, all right.
So we've got
You're going to have your mic. The precept this year, well, 2019, was £9,090.
so 9,000.
And 90.
Yeah.
So the expenditure, that comes to what, 52, just over 7.5, I'd suggest, as expected. But of course, what it doesn't take into account is stuff we can't predict.
We're not in the financial statement part at the moment.
Sorry?
We're not the financial part, part of the meeting, so that's what's in the bank at the moment.
Well, I haven't had a bank statement since the 31st of October. As on the 31st of October, there was 12,194 and 7 pence. The outstanding checks to go out, serious, do you want the total number or do you want individual checks? Ones that just gone out actually. What total
Well,
number?
it'd be nice to know the expenditure since October.
That's expenditure since October. Got for the food for the children's party was 70 quid. The Santa suit 79.70. Presents, there's several wadges of presents. 98.97. 14.99. That was the presents. Then there was the entertainment, which was £100. Court free PAYE,
Yeah.
256.40. My money was 383.98. 383.98. And then 2 for play park maintenance. 105.44 twice. So what that comes to.
First purchase,
Huh?
what was the first
checks have not yet been paid.
Those checks have got, none of those are free cash at all.
Right, so we had 1,500.
No.
Sorry.
12,000.
Ah, right, sorry. Okay.
So we should have just shy of 11 in bank.
Yeah.
This Windows 6 on.
Okay.
Well, what I'd suggest, my suggestion from the Green is how much the precept's going to be. It's 9,000 to 90,000 and we're spending currently in the region of 6,000 a year.
Is there no reason to increase it?
No, there's no justification to increase it. But we do need to maintain a positive increase in bank balance, just in case things like play park equipment needs replacing, bus shelters, things like that. Because even if we're lucky to get a grant for any replacement kit, it's all match funding now. All match funding, you won't get anything for nothing anymore. And if you look at how much it costs, the interesting one was the play park, where is it? That's the new tarmac underneath the play suit. That was just shy of £4,000.
So we are going to have to build up a fairly large contingency to
offset in the future, yeah. And we know that there's a bill that's coming up for, what's that, the 20 mile an hour, 1,250. That's 25% for the street furniture.
It's just whether we can justify holding it at 9. Would we look to drop? Because even if you took that figure, currently bank into account the expected next year, and the known difficulties that will still be.
What we normally try to do is maintain a positive balance in what is precept. We have to maintain, we saw the operational risk assessment, and we're talking just shy of £2,000 now for an election. So we need to have that available.
So it's the precept plus 2,000.
Yeah, but yes, but also, of course, if anything involves insurance, we've got to pay for it
Before we can
claim it back again, which is always the big one, which is where we got caught out with the glass for the bus shelter a couple of years ago.
Okay, so do we look to keep the same as this year?
It was raised last
It was
year.
raised last year.
There's no justification for raising it this year.
Unless, like I said, so on the pros and cons, I think, of keeping it the same or reducing, bearing in mind that we end this year with precept, the current precept in bank, end this year. We start this calendar year
Yeah.
with the current precept plus just shy of 2,000.
Which is the bit we need to cover an election, so
Which
it's
is
about
essentially what we say, one precept plus the election. So do we maintain, hold it at 9,090?
That's for the invitation, yeah, so we don't drop it. So certainly don't raise it, so.
No,
no, I propose we would keep it.
maintain.
Maintain.
Votes before, okay, maintain.
ask you, how many percent you putting it up?
Not 0% increase.
And how much is in the kitty?
Sorry, we just discussed that.
Just, yeah.
And it's
I
not,
think
it's
the
not,
government's
it's not,
gone down a little bit,
Sorry,
it's
It's
not part of public discussion though.
that's being said.
You're supposed to be debating, not talking to each other.
I never heard a complete word of that, nothing.
Please come closer.
Well, you can also talk up as well, couldn't you?
This is a public meeting, and the public are here to hear what you say, please, that's all we ask.
Which is incidentally the first time, like I said in my opening comments, less than 25th since mid-2018.
It's refreshing, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's refreshing,
It
isn't
really
it?
is, nice actually. It'd be nice to have another couple of councillors so we can debate more rather than
Discuss.
go down the group thing.
Did you say the precinct was being capped this year? At the same,
Yeah,
Sorry,
same
maintain,
cap,
yeah.
that's the point actually.
Four. Jumping back into the agenda, unfortunately. That's what I worked out. You're jumping through documents. Come on. So, because I can't got the Wi-Fi, I'm hotspot on my phone. That was the end line, so what's the next one? Planning, isn't it? Was, 6, is it? Planning. 7. Right. 7 is planning. I haven't had any planning thing
No. Okay.
to report.
Moving on, number 8, services including recreational facilities. Play park. That's where Annie was probably.
Oh, yes. Have you had a chance to go through it since?
yeah, there's some very bizarre things in it. As always. What I couldn't understand was why they were criticising a wooden fence for being a wooden fence.
I'll go through the comments. There's
Yeah.
nothing for alarm in here anywhere whatsoever,
Mainly green.
except they have to justify their visit. So what was A, these?
8, so services including recreational facilities.
Right. Signage. The comment on the back of the signs, the metal signs,
Yeah.
there's projecting bolt thread. Task cut off and far down to roof side edges will use the correct length of bolt.
I should do that at the weekend.
Cheers. The gate, they always comment the fact the gates are locked, and it should be locked.
No risk.
There's no health and safety risk. We always talk about the gate clanging because there's no metal buffer on it, but the consensus has always been from villages that they want the gate to clang. It means that, there's people in the park. But nobody's ever complained about the gate clanging. Closed board fencing. The timber finish is poor, leading to splinters or the potential for splinters. Sand the timber down to root splinters and other places liable to give splinters. it's a wooden fence. The risk level is very low, and it is as low as is possible. Yeah, it's a wooden fence. Unless we put another fence inside the wooden fence to keep people away from the wooden fence. So,
Seems there's something silly in terms of some of the.
Well, they've got to a point, haven't they?
this is the thing, they've always, going back, they've always found something wrong.
This kind of a job to do, isn't it?
Youth shelter, no issues. The seating bench and the litter bin, there's no issues. The picnic tables, no issues. Although they always talk about the fact that they're portable and they should be bolted down.
The risk is still low.
The risk is still low, the risk is still 5. The comment used to be that they have to be bolted down to prevent them being stolen. The fact they've never been stolen. But they do talk about, the worry is that somebody moves them into the arc of the swing. The chain link fence was no comment. The 4-seat rocket was no comment, as we say with the carousel spin cup. The multi-play towers needs clean. We know that.
I think as soon as spring weather comes out, we'll try and get a work party together. I'm sure Steve Fair and I will go out with power hoses, and anyone else who wants to volunteer, because your kids are using it, please come along and help.
There's the swing, the toddler 1-bay 1-seat swing. It's been noted that there's a cap missing on a bolt on the top frame.
On the top of the frame.
Yeah. You have a quick squib at that. You know, mustn't leave ladders out for children to climb on them. But it did talk about the paintwork is in poor condition. It needs painting.
The swing.
This is the
Top
top
of
of
the
the swing.
So it's really only the top corners that were
But
painted.
the whole thing they talk about the fact that paintwork is in poor condition.
I thought it was meant to be just galvanised steel. I don't remember it. Mr. West, do you remember the swing being painted all the way down the swings in the park? Do you ever recall them being painted all the way down the legs?
They've never been painted.
So
The big swing, you mean?
both of them.
Yeah,
They have red tops on them. at one
Red
time,
tops, yeah.
but not on the legs.
No, because it's galvanised.
Yeah.
Pipe.
So they're complaining they're not painted.
They never have.
Poor condition.
I don't know about the smaller one, but certainly.
Yeah, I don't recall either of them. Small one is painted. It's got some paint on it. Yeah.
Can you have a look at that, Tony? You're in the best position to be in, actually, not bothering on it. Then there's the swing, the junior 1-bay 2-seat. We always get picked up on this one, but it's got grandfather rights because they don't like multiple swings in bays. But they always say that the distance between the seat side to support and other seats is insufficient.
What's the risk?
The risk is low, the risk score is 4. But also, it a risk level low, a risk score 5 is the fact that the bouncy tarmac is crossed when you come through the gate. It's on the bouncy tarmac. This is a new one, a new one they're picking up. The free space around the spring, around the swing, is intersected by a main travelling route at or through the playground. So basically, if you come in the Meadowview pedestrian gate, you are tempted to walk across the swing arc
Because of the way,
because of the way it's been laid out. Now, when it was put in, that wasn't the problem. That's the first thing they've raised now.
Screwed it.
Low, restore 5.
I can't see it being changed until the swing's replaced.
No. And it's unlikely that swing to be replaced if say, we've got that swing actually. That's one of the new, it can be one of the newest swings.
It's an older one.
It's one of the older swings, isn't it? Because it was the top of the swing was the new swing. So that swing's been there since, well again, you'll probably know. But that's not going to happen. There's nothing there. I suggest that we've got any concern over it.
No, I know everyone's on screen. I think
Overall,
all of those are green as well.
Yeah. They're having to find things like splinters from the fences. It's a good sign, realistically. Services, played by IT.
Yeah, we had a number of issues with the website in end of November, early December. The company put things right very, very quickly indeed. I don't think most people noticed there had been a downtime at all.
Just emails.
Just emails briefly, yeah. But that's now back up and running. What else? There are a number of improvements we've asked for, particularly to try and keep the damn Russians off the perimeter, signing up for everything and offering Viagra and all sorts of antibiotics. And hopefully that will be stopped, but it's all done by machines, it's not.
Oh, no, it's
It's not people signing up.
I'm currently getting the region of 50 emails a day. I suspect probably 10% of those are wanted.
Yeah. The other issue, I don't know if people realise today, BT were in the village replacing telegraph poles, certainly down the southern end of the village. These were telegraph poles that we reported as being faulty in 2008. So it's taken a little while for them to come out and sort. They are now being replaced, so that might increase people's broadband speeds a little.
Next week, Highland Libraries, general.
Can I just confirm, rather than in the reports from councillors, because we've had that before on the back of CATG, that we're all set with what we owe Kate Davis and the CATG in regards to the amount. All they're after was the nod from us about us spending 25%, which we've given to Kate.
I emailed her straight back, didn't I? I think I'm doing all that.
So email from the Parish Council, and she can commence the TRO aspect
Yes.
of it. And just for their records, a copy of the agreement from the Clues residents.
All right.
With their consent as well, it being a private road, not Church Street, but she would just like that on their records as well, just so 30 years down the line, it's come back and by her successors.
Mr. Chairman, did they give any idea of when the 20-mile-an-hour limit might be in place?
They didn't, but I've been telling the catchy now for what, a year and a bit, and the same things come up from all the parishes time and time again with the legislative changes. It's horrendously so. Although our letter of complaint clearly set a little bit of I'll keep pressing.
Anything on the current A3 for Bartlett falling apart?
Nothing more than that.
Anything on the bypass?
The inspector's report should have gone to the Secretary of State on 1st of January. That was when they were going to finish the review of it. He's meant to have 3 months, but whether they'll claim a little bit of time because of the election, I don't know. I can't see how they can justify delaying it, because the election was well and truly over before the report was due in, so they had a Secretary of State in place. It should just move forward. Everything else seems to be going ahead. The meetings I've attended, everything's proceeding as if the go-ahead will be given. The good news is a lot of things on the periphery of the road, not the road itself, but things that benefits that we might get over and above the road are being put into train. So things like improvement of the Bolston Crossroad. That is likely to go ahead, even if the Secretary of State says no, because it's going to be one of the early works that has to be done in advance. And there are all sorts of little bits and pieces. Studies have been undertaken with funding from Highways England to look at things like east-west public transport through the World Heritage Site. So I don't know anyone here who has a doctor in Shrewton that isn't the orchard surgery. I can't remember what the surgery is called.
Salisbury Plains. Salisbury
Salisbury
Plains,
Plains.
Salisbury surgery now.
They
It's not
are
there
re-
in Shrewsbury.
They're relocating to Lark Hill.
They're in there now.
Yeah,
Shrewton is closed.
yeah. But for old age pensioners, getting there, getting an east-west bus is next to impossible. So one of the things that has been looked at are ways of improving the service for people up the valleys across to Lark Hill, and again from Durrington into Lark Hill. And looking at ways that can be funded, perhaps even taking money from English Heritage to achieve it. So there are lots of little things like that that are going on in the background that will or may happen regardless of if the road happens. The Highways Agency have also expressed an interest in coming to talk to parishioners to see what you would like over and above all the things that have been put in by organisations and parish councils, to see if you can come up with new ideas for legacy issues that can be funded, joint funded by the Highways Agency, external funders, and perhaps the parish council. And that's something we'll be looking to lay on if there is sufficient interest around the village in doing that.
And that's for the legacy things like village halls.
Yeah, the legacy side of the project will go on for at least 10 years after the road is completed, if it's completed. It's not something that we have to rush and do. There will be things, legacy issues, legacy opportunities that come up long after the road is in. If people are interested to see what can happen, look at the Cambridge bypass. They have all sorts of schemes that they have introduced over and above the road, including a poet in residence. So if you're feeling, if anyone's feeling, I don't know, get paid for a poet in residence, but some really practical things as well. Putting trees in, putting woodland in, all sorts of things you wouldn't expect from a road building scheme.
One more on there. Bypass. So item 10, environment and excuse me, environment including emergency planning. Push back to that under action review regards the
One thing, but that's been an action that's been going for a very long time.
Wider environmental issues of
The key thing obviously is the water levels. We're doing what we do every year, which is to maintain a watch on the borehole and the river. And we're putting out alerts as and when we can, both on the notice board, on the website and on the Facebook page. As of this evening, when I left, we still have a flood warning on the Wiley and the tributaries, so River Till, and we still have an alert on groundwater flooding on Salisbury Plain. We asked in the report on the notice board and on the website if anyone heard of any issues in the village could they let us know? We've not had him. Oh, we've had one, which was the one which would have the
Culvert.
culvert was that's now been cleared. But as far as I'm aware, we've not heard anything.
Happy. Item 11, World Heritage Sites. I've got nothing new.
No, that's been signed and that's been very quiet.
No, I put something on the website about the Royal Heritage Site. They had taken money from Highways England to conduct a study, and that was reported on the website. Excruciating detail. So it's there for people to read it.
Item 12, Police. Rich used to attend the police meetings, so we probably need to look at another.
Volunteer.
Can't do that, we can't do. But I'm not sure when the next meeting is. Can we
I
find out?
don't know, they are infrequent.
Yeah, find out and then just work out who could attend from the three of us.
Sorry, was that no comments on the police?
Other than when the next liaison meeting is, just find out when it is. Ex-councillor Watts used to attend that meeting when I was
I was just wondering if there was any news on the arrest of the 4 poachers in Winterbourne Stoke.
nothing more than what's been in the public press.
You are aware that there was an event 2 days before that in the village.
A what?
An event 2 days before that
Yes,
in
there's
the
photos,
village.
actually, didn't they?
I
Where,
think there was.
yeah, so the poachers came back twice.
That's all.
They caught them the second time.
It's just interesting to hear working with the farmers, and I just wondered if they've been arrested down your due, which is good.
Yeah, no, it is.
Excellent.
Didn't you say that's 2 Christmases running now? After this was picked up from the village. 13, reports from councillors and anything from the village events committee. I've got nothing new to run off on the catchy, because I haven't been catchy since the last time we convened. The time before, the last time we convened. So, Andy, any reporting from yourself?
No, I've reported on mine under the other headings.
Tony, anything from you? Have you had anything submitted from anyone from the events committee?
Only that an EGM is imminent.
Okay.
Or the 28th notice is imminent, something can be requiring 28 notice to court date, but the calling notice for an EGM is imminent.
Calling notice for 28 days.
Okay.
Gotcha. Well, how about the calling notice? About on the
That will go on the notice board and the website.
and the notification. And that's the end of the public section of the meeting. So this, can I just say, as reluctantly agreed chair now, that thank you very much for attending, and I hope to see you more of these, because I think it is key. We work, 20-mile-an-hour speed limit on Church Street, is that something that the current parishioners still want? If so, we'll still push it, etc., etc. Because these things, like I said, seem to take glacial periods of time with regards to Wiltshire Council. So things like that, we've agreed to spend the money, but if it's not the flavour of the month, the parishioners need to let us know, and this is an ideal opportunity for us all to get together. And it's a cliche, but we are kind of all on the same team. We all live amongst each other, we all do the same thing, and we all sort of fuel up at the same fuel stations. We'll see you again.